So, when I wanted to grow up, or when I was growing up, I wanted to be the coolest individual on Earth. At the time, this was the coolest individual on planet Earth. And that's all I knew I wanted to be. But that job was already taken. For those in this generation, by the way, that would be Chris Pine. Couldn't be Captain Kirk, couldn't be Chris Pine, but maybe I could be Han Solo. So I thought, well, we'll give that one a shot instead. Couldn't be that. One thing I possibly could be, though, was Tom Cruise. So naturally, this was my career selection. What is the coolest job I can possibly find? Today, I guess that's your role model if you're going to be on the aviation side. I'm sorry. I took a look at certain jobs and took a look at what is out there that when I came to college, what could I do? And since I wanted to have the coolest job possible, one of the things that I looked at is certain positions and started at the bottom where there was kind of airport manager. It's bleeding off the screen down there, but airport director was one of them. Never really thought of that. Had a very low coolness rating to it. Accounting, no, that's down there. IT, just not very cool. Business, that's not really on the coolness rating. Cop, I thought we're kind of moving up there. And by the way, if I've not insulted anybody in the audience yet, or everybody, stick with me. I'll get to you. Reality show star, I thought that would be a pretty cool job. Except I grew up in the 70s and 80s. We had reality shows back then, except we just called them reality and they weren't a show. Hollywood celebrity. I thought, now this is an awesome job. This is something I could really engage in, really do. But there's got to be something higher. Now, it just flipped off the screen to the top, but what's at the very top is pilot. And I knew that was the coolest job possible. In fact, the arrow will go off screen up there, but it goes all the way up to where it says pilot. So I knew that being a pilot was cooler than being a celebrity. If you think I'm wrong, then how come Harrison Ford and Tom Cruise, and that's John Travolta on the upper top there, after they became Hollywood celebrities, they weren't fulfilled. They still had to become pilots. So naturally, this is the coolest job possible. This was my goal. My goal when I came to school here, I'm a graduate of this program, here at the aviation program at Metro. And that was the goal, getting the Naval Aviation Wings of Gold. That was the sole focus. Got here, that's ultimately where I wanted to be. And by the way, this was the only definition of success that I knew, was to be a naval aviator. So I did all the right things to be an aviator. I bought Ray-Ban sunglasses, because that's what you needed to do. I took pictures of myself in front of airplanes that I've never flown, and even got all the way to flight school in Pensacola, Florida. Almost made it too. That's me actually down there in Pensacola. But sometimes things don't always work out. What you can't see on the bottom of the slide is a little quotation. This is me when I was a kid. And the quotation says, "What do you mean I can't fly?" What happened when I was in flight school is I lost my medical. And it was devastating, because that was the life's dream, was to be an aviator, to be a pilot. And now everything came to a screeching halt after I lost the medical. The bottom of the presentation says, "What do you mean I can't fly?" My mom actually sent this picture to me when I was in Pensacola shortly after I'd gotten the word. And I'm thinking, well, that's kind of loving. My whole dream shattered here, and you're kind of sending me this photo. And I realized why she was sending the photo to me, frankly. Because it was her way of telling me, look, yeah, that dream didn't work out for you. Your life's not over. Pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and there's a million opportunities out there that you can go do. And it really was a wake-up call. It was really get up, get going, and start moving forward at this point. So I did. Well, here's something interesting. When we succeed, we celebrate. When we fail, we ponder. One of the confessions I have for you today is I didn't fail flight school because of my medical. That was what was on the paperwork. I had to look back and see, why did that not work out for me? See, because I knew how to fly when I got up to flight school. I knew all the basics. I knew aerodynamics, pull back on stick, houses get smaller, push forward on stick, houses get bigger. Ace aerodynamics, no problem, got that. I actually did fairly well in school here with respect to that, but when I got there, I was overwhelmed with the academic rigor. And it was just pushing me down, pushing me down, pushing me down to the point where I was not doing very well at all. I was the only one in my squadron with prior flight time. I walked in with 250 hours of flying time and a commercial pilot certificate and instrument rating, And I got guys with 0 hours that were just blowing by me in training. I was struggling with the academics. There was no way in the world I was going to quit. That just wasn't in the vocabulary. I sure as heck didn't want to flunk out and have to come back and face my peer group and go, well, yeah, that kind of sucked. However, there was this medical condition that kind of pops up. And I think your brain will manifest whatever it is you truly desire. And amazingly, that medical condition vanished after I left flight school with my medical DQ in hand. So I think a lot of it was psychosomatic. So I had to come back and figure out, all right, what happened? What was the reason for this? It became my mission. When I came back here, I started as a part-time professor teaching a course called Aviation Job Targeting. My mission became this: nobody's going to fail because they don't have the strategies necessary to succeed. This is the course. One of the, it's bled off the top of the screen here, but what it says is we had to come up with a way to compete with the underdog schools, because Metro back in the day was very much a school of where you ended up, not a school of first choice like it is now. And we had to figure out, how do we compete with the top tier schools? So we created this course, revision. It was already a course that was in existence, called Aviation Management Problems and Job Targeting. Originally, the course had students interviewing other students as part of an interview process. I mean, that's like two people teaching each other how to fish, and neither one of them know how to fish. So immediately we brought in industry professionals to do mock interviews for our students. We took a resume writing course and a cover letter writing course and turned it into oral and written communication skills. Everybody knew the hard skills of aviation. What we had to do to distinguish was the soft skills. So we grabbed some Tony Robbins stuff, we grabbed some Franklin Covey stuff, we incorporated 7 Habits, and it's become a pretty good course over the course of time. We've had students that have come in knowing nothing and not where they wanted to be. Now they're pilots in the military, they're corporate pilots, they're airline pilots, and they tribute the course to that. They've attributed to that. But there's always another level. Recently, I've been teaching that course for 18 years, and I started to notice something over the course of time. The students were getting younger. I clearly wasn't getting older. I think they're just getting younger. And when they started calling me Sir instead of Jeff, and when they started calling me Mr. Price and Professor Price instead of kind of more of their peer group, I thought, I might be missing something here. How do we make sure that we stay ahead of the curve? So this is what I pursued. I started a process called 50 Books in 50 Weeks, What Have I Learned? And it's a website. You can go on and dig that out if you'd like and join my 9 other readers. We're reading 50 books in 50 weeks, and I blog about a book every single week. We're about 35 books through the process right now, so we've got about 15 left to go. But already with that, there are some common themes that I've recognized as we move through. One of the common themes I've found is for any problem you face, somebody else has already solved it, or somebody can help you solve it. Somebody else can help you get through that, or there's a book you can read, or there's something there. So before you give up on anything, look to your peer group, look to books, look anywhere, because somebody's likely had that same challenge and solved it already. So what have I learned after reading at least 35 books so far? I really thought I failed for 3 reasons. Top reason was this: I enjoyed my mission, but I didn't love it. The second, I didn't do the sets and reps necessary. And the third, bled off the bottom of the screen there, I left my tribe. So let's explore that. I didn't embrace the mission. There is a difference between enjoying something and truly loving something. When you pursue a mission, it has to be yours. It has to be your internal pull, whatever it is that you're pulled towards. And I saw these folks in flight school. I saw them there because their dad was a pilot and they wanted him and they pushed him there and they were slogging their way through training. And I saw other folks who just kind of felt a pure compulsion to be there. Those folks weren't very successful, including me. I saw other people who flying to them was as natural as breathing. And they looked forward to it. And every mission to them, I mean, they didn't have to go into Afghanistan to get a mission for their life. Their mission was whatever it was that day. They truly loved it. I enjoyed the coolness of being a pilot, but not the actual job. Don't get me wrong, I still enjoy flying to this day. And I found out that it's really cool to tell people you're a pilot. When I was a college student, it was an incredibly handy pickup line. Worked. And plus, you get to say cool stuff when you're a pilot. You get to tell people like, that's right, I am dangerous. And then you do the, I don't never got what that is. But anyway, but I could walk around doing a lot of that stuff, and it was really a lot of fun. But at the end of it, I just enjoyed it. I didn't truly love it. I wasn't pulled towards it. I've seen students come in here, and where they're truly pulled to something, they stop at nothing to achieve it. It doesn't matter. You walk up there and say, well, gee, I'm sorry, but you don't have a functional brain, so you can't get a flight medical. They're like, I don't care, I'll figure that out. They push through it. They don't matter. They'll go over and over and over again and persist to get it. When you're doing that, now you know you're in love with that. Difference between enjoying what you do and loving what you do. When you enjoy things, but you don't love them, that takes willpower to do. And willpower decreases with time. Eventually, your tank is just dry. Eventually, the willpower is just gone. And you've got to go into some sort of decompression phase to build yourself back up. When you love what you do, when you're done doing it, you actually have more energy than when you started. You feel better, and people around you feel better because you're pursuing your true mission. So that's how you can tell. You want a solution to a problem? This is how you can tell if you really love something, when you feel better when it's done. A lot of things I was able to do. Unfortunately, most of them aren't coming up here. I did become an airport manager, and I did do all sorts of things. I've been to aircraft rescue and firefighter training. I ran the 3rd busiest airport in the state. I got to do a lot of amazing things just by shifting careers to a career that before I hadn't even considered. I didn't even know airport management was a career. I figured somebody mowed the yard, but other than that, I really didn't know who ran the place. You got to find the mission. Number 2, I failed because I didn't do the sets and reps. You can't treat the present as some sort of insignificant moment in time, some preamble to something bigger. And that's exactly what I was doing in flight school. I already knew how to fly, and now I got to start at ground zero and do this again. I really almost felt it was a waste of my time. So I didn't take it very seriously. I'm like, yeah, let's go do this. Let's get it done. Let's get through. I already know how to do this. Can we hurry up and get this along? I was making that mistake of not being happy until something happened. You hear people say, oh, I'll be so happy once I graduate. Oh, I'll be so happy once I get that first job. Oh, I'll be so happy once. What you're telling yourself is, I won't be happy until that thing occurs. Well, those things occur in they're very short periods of time in your life. You have to be happy during the process. I watched the guys and the girls who are successful in flight school. They took every mission very seriously, and they actually enjoyed that process. There's a price to be paid for just getting by. This is the actual wall that I could not get over in flight school when I first showed up there. I'd already been through Coast Guard Officer Candidate School, so I was a pretty decent swimmer, but there was a period of time before I got to flight school, and I kind of just let myself sit around and ate a lot of McDonald's and didn't really do anything. We had to do this obstacle course in flight school. Well, that's an 8-foot wall on the right, and I, of course, asked if I could do the shorter one on the left. They didn't appreciate that very much. When you hit that wall, it's actually a very simple thing to do. You hit the wall, you jump up, you grab the top, it's one pull-up, and you swing your leg over. It's really not as hard as it looks. I hit that thing, and it looked like a bird hit a windshield. I think I fell over backwards at one point. Why couldn't I get over the wall? I didn't have the upper body strength. Why didn't I have the upper body strength? I hadn't done the sets and reps. Same challenge here. When I was a student here, it was one of the few times in my life I actually had some popularity, and I kind of had the gift of gab, so I could talk my way through a lot of situations, and including talking professors out of grades and classes, looking the other way in absences. I got really good at just getting by. What do I need to do to just not succeed? I just want to get by. There comes a wall. There comes an obstacle that you're not prepared for because you've not done the sets and reps. Physically, it took me 3 weeks of body conditioning before I could get over this darn thing. But academically, I'd never done the sets and reps. So when the academic rigor of flight school hit me, I didn't have the muscles to push through. You got to do the sets and reps. Become an expert at what it is you do, whatever it is you do. When I was in flight school, I should have been an expert at being a flight student. You take that seriousness, you take that approach to everything you do in life, you're truly going to get where you want to go. This is part of the reading series. 2 types of intelligence that simplified here is basically what we've got. Crystallized intelligence and fluid intelligence. Crystallized intelligence, that's the experience, that's the education, that's what we've done in our lives. It's that body of work that has given us knowledge and information. Fluid intelligence, that's how we interpret things. This is how we solve problems. And we do it by tapping into our crystallized intelligence. So if you increase your knowledge, you can actually increase your ability to solve problems, make decisions, and figure stuff out. You grow your crystallized intelligence, and then you exercise your fluid intelligence. Let me talk a little bit about that. What's the difference between the extraordinary people out there and the legendary people out there? I just had the privilege a couple months back of seeing Tom Hanks on stage in Broadway in a play called Lucky Guy. Now, there's amazing actors on stage already. Tom Hanks walks out, and you hear this, and then I realized that was me doing that. The guy he commands the stage. What's the difference between him and all these incredible actors around him? He is an absolute expert and master at his craft. And I didn't see Tom Hanks playing a character. I saw the character. Become an expert at your craft, whatever that is. Springsteen, one of my favorite singers. I've been to more of his concerts than I can count. This guy is an expert at his craft. If you've ever been to a Springsteen concert, I mean, pack a dinner, pack a lunch, pack breakfast for the next day. The man will play for 4 hours and then go, we'll be right back, and then he'll keep on going. He plays forever, but he's got a contract with the audience. He doesn't want to disappoint anybody, and he packs stadiums. He's an absolute expert at his craft. Navy SEALs, I love reading about these guys. They're experts at their craft. Here's a great demonstration of fluid intelligence. This is from the movie Act of Valor, and the scene in the movie is based on a real incident. The SEALs have just recaptured somebody who's been captured, a CIA agent, and they're racing away in a truck. And the bad guys are shooting at him, and the good guys are shooting back. I mean, it's a guy flick. I've watched this thing 100 times. Love this movie. But what's really going on here is these guys spend all their lives learning everything they possibly can, just in case they need the knowledge at some point. Right in the middle of this activity, they call up to the guy who's driving the getaway truck, and they're like, hey, the first extract point's gone. We can't get there. The second extract point's gone. Third extract point's burned. We can't get there. The other guy goes, all right, figure it out. It wasn't, okay, pull over, let's give up, let's call this a day. Figure it out. That's fluid intelligence. Here's another guy who had to figure it out. When Captain Sully goes into the Hudson River, he was using all of his crystallized intelligence. I don't know if you know this, but he's also a sailplane rated pilot. He's got his glider rating. You don't practice this stuff in the flight sims. But when it happened, he engaged all of that fluid intelligence based on his crystallized intelligence. So the more you grow your education and experience, the more problems you can solve. Number 3, I failed because I left my tribe. I left the people who had supported me throughout the whole time in my aviation journey. Surround yourself with a good team. Surround yourself with people who are your true friends. And your true friends actually celebrate when you succeed. They don't kind of go, okay, well, good for you, and wander off. Your true friends. There's an old saying, friends help you move, good friends help you move bodies. Find those people. Find those people when you say, hey, buddy, I got a problem. They show up at your house with a shovel and a bat. Those are the people you need. I had all sorts of great friends when I was going through the program here. I'd surrounded myself with incredible people. And while I was a student here and while I was in officer candidate school, they supported me throughout. They pushed me through the hard times. And then when they had hard times, I pushed them. I still have great friends to this day. And this is what has continued to keep success growing for our students. We tell them when you graduate, a lot of your tribe leaves. Don't let them go. You need to continue those relationships. These are the people that are going to push you when you're slowing down thinking, I'm just not sure. So the coolness rating, what you're seeing is everything go to the top. What I found was this. What I've learned after reading all of these books this year is this. It doesn't matter what you do for a living. It does not matter at all. You can be an accountant, IT, reality show star, any of that stuff. Does not matter. As long as that's your mission, you're on the right track. That is what truly attracts other people to you, both friends, intimate relationships, professional relationships. You see somebody who's on the right mission, who's doing the things that they want to do, you want to jump on board with that. You draw from that energy and they draw from your energy. It doesn't matter what you want to do, as long as it's your mission. Find out what you want to do and then do it. Do the sets and reps. Become an expert at whatever it is you do and actually do the work to get there. There are no shortcuts. At some point, it's going to hit you in the face. Surround yourself with your tribe. That's what I've learned. Thank you.